Welcome back, Ninja community and persons who have watched my quality statement disclaimer video, and of course people who want to watch some Ninja Bible study. Now in this video, I'm going to be covering more on the verse of Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Now, the uh, the verse has more meaning to a ninja, especially when they know how to utilize a rod and or staff in a melee type of situation. Okay, in this video, I'll be covering how it applies to a larger staff as opposed to a rod. Now, if you haven't seen my other video, a rod was essentially the hammer, right? It was essentially the hammer of that period in time, and except for the hammer of the king or the rod of the king, which was probably more of a novelty or sort of ceremonial thing, because it was a hammer or the rod wasn't allowed to be brought into the presence of the king. So it was something that typically every man had and probably carried just about everywhere. Very similarly to other cultures and how their fighting systems were sort of based off of tools that they typically just all had. Okay. Now, here at Ninja Bible Study, some of the ninja techniques that could be possibly extrapolated from simply observing the content, because some of it applies across various weapons, if you've seen my other videos. So that's why I do a quality statement disclaimer, which of course is why it's mostly liability. It's to make sure that people aren't misusing my content. Okay, so I'm going to cover my quality statement and disclaimer real quick, so bear with me. The viewer understands my quality statement disclaimer video, additionally agrees that this is my intellectual property and that this video could be treated as is with ballistic protection, which in short means I don't have a seal on it, therefore I don't guarantee the techniques under your application of the techniques. And if you're watching this video with the intention of using this content to commit a crime, that is additionally a crime. Actually using my content in committing a crime is additionally a crime. Okay, now some of the applications of ninja techniques are ambiguous with knives, typically something every man has. Even ambiguous with similar weapons. The idea is that, like this tonfa here, the idea is that a ninja, if they lost their weapon in the midst of melee, even without realizing they've lost their weapon, they would, and recovered some other weapon, they would typically know how to utilize that weapon. Okay, so quoting the Bible verse first with an item like a half staff, which I covered in my other video. If you've seen that, you'll notice that the technique, the ninja technique of utilizing a half staff all the way to a hammer or anything similar is pretty much the same without drastically modifying the movements. And when the weapons are different, it's only slightly modified without drastically modifying the movements or techniques. So before I get into the way a ninja would quote that verse of Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I will do a little bit more on some Bible verses, just reading some scripture here. Now, to a ninja, it has more context. Okay? Let's see. And Moses spake unto the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves unto the war, and let them go against the Midianites, and avenge the Lord of Midian. Of every tribe, 1,000, throughout all the tribes of Israel, shall you send to the war. That sounds like you're getting ready for a war, right there. Like, I remember reading a little bit on, like, let's see, on, from the Bible, understanding a little bit of history and understanding how the perception of the enemy, things would have been, gives it more context. For instance, when God had commanded, or one of the figures in the Bible was commanded to send people out with a torch, like 1,000 people out with a torch and a horn. Basically his entire army, they were all blowing a horn and carrying a torch, okay, coming down the hill. Now, that would probably be a bit terrifying or scary. Some people would think, oh, the loud noises made the enemy troops afraid. However, if you understand the context of what those torches and those bugles would have been interpreted by their enemy, you would understand that when they saw that many torches and horns blowing coming down the hill, you're right that most of them ran away. You're right, it terrified them, because what they thought was that for each horn, being the essentially like the flag bearer of a legion, or roughly 1,000 people, what they saw was they saw the front of what they considered to be a very large army, right? They saw the guidons of other troops, when in fact it was just 1,000 men. They thought it was 1,000 thousands of warriors. So when you understand the context of war and the history of war, it gives the Bible and some of its scripture more meaning. Okay? Now, to a ninja, when he reads the scripture, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. When a ninja understands how to utilize a rod and staff in melee battle, and of course the implications that a rod was in fact a self-defense tool, as well as a bludgeoning tool of the time, as well as a measuring a form of basic measurement, just the fact that it wasn't permitted in the presence of the king, that made that a easy implication that it was in fact a self-defense tool. And the staff, which I'll also demonstrate with a longer staff, the staff was something that the men carried when traveling on the road. Okay, now the staff, and the Bible differentiates between a walking stick and a staff. The word that translates it, in fact, a staff had to be more suitable for, it had to be strong, stronger than a walking stick, or the definition, right? Okay, so demonstrating how a ninja would, quote, in the ninja language, which isn't verbal, it's more melee combat, demonstrating how it would apply with a few weapons that I don't cover in my other videos. I'll first start with a half staff. Okay. I'll also use a hammer and a tonfa. Okay. So here we go. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Okay, this is actually a shovel handle, but I'm improvising as a half staff of how a ninja would use a half staff in that verse. Okay, we would go from here, here, and then pivoting here. Again, that movement is here, here, here. Okay. Now with a tonfa, all right, it could be done in holding it in variations. Okay. The first movement is a strike to the face. Okay. Different from that, slightly modifying without drastically modifying the movement, is a strike with this, and a missed strike with the elbow swipe. Okay? And the rest is pretty much the same. Here, here, okay? Again, the movement is here, here, here. Okay? With a hammer, it is here, here, and again, slightly modified without drastically modifying the movement. Since this hammer does not have much to attempt to hit the chin, it is pretty much skipped and gone straight to the elbow swipe. So it goes from here, here, here. Okay, which would be pretty much identical if someone were using a tomahawk, or if a ninja was using a tomahawk, which was the weapon or tool that pretty much every man had at the time in a certain area, like the Native Americans. Okay, so going back to the staff, the half staff to a longer staff. Okay. I'll demonstrate the movement with the half staff first. Again. Okay. Be here, here, here. Okay. With a longer staff, before getting to that movement, okay, this would be modified movements without drastically modifying the movement. Okay. Here. Here. Okay. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy rod and staff comfort me. Now in other martial arts systems, they might be using the staff slightly differently. Okay, I won't really be covering much of how they would utilize the staff. If someone wanted to practice that, I'd suggest watching some of the other systems out there that use the staff. How a ninja would use a staff is he would not cross his hands over the staff, mostly because another ninja might grab the staff, because the tactic would be getting close, and when the hands are crossed over, would be to grab and push up, which would force them to either let go, right? Or they would be locked up, right? So a ninja does not use movements where the hands cross over while the hands are pronate. Okay. And when they are supinate, most definitely never while supinate. Okay. So the crossover, the only crossover would be from back here. Okay, that would be it. Okay, crossing over close together would not be very kosher to a ninja. Okay, so the movement of yea though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death would first come from here. And it is a shot to the face. It is a strike to the chin. Okay? And then it comes back into a strike this way. Okay. With a staff, you have much more reach. Like a longer staff, you have much more reach. With a larger staff, it's pretty much the same way as I have demonstrated. However, I will not demonstrate this staff within this confined area with that technique. However, like a staff still has other applications that a ninja can utilize in confined areas. Okay, now one of the weapons that I did not cover in my other video was the kama and the sai. Okay. Now I will demonstrate some of the techniques of that very same verse utilizing a kama with and a sai by slightly modifying the movements without drastically modifying. Okay. So, probably be two sai. Okay. So, it would be more similar to the version with a hammer. Okay. Which would be simply be direct strike to the face and let's see, close to an elbow strike. No, let's do it one. Okay, so it would basically be a strike to the face, an elbow strike, and then imagine the weapon would probably be thrown from this position or here. Okay, so yeah, it would probably be here. There is much more application with a sai because the sai can be held in a greater number of positions while it is being used. Okay. So I cover more sai techniques in some of my other videos. Feel free to check those out. Okay, if you've watched the video so far, feel free to hit like hard like a ninja and subscribe to my channel to be alerted for when I do random videos on YouTube. And let's see, I have to move around here. All right, so subscribe to my channel to be alerted for when I do random videos on YouTube. And let's see, feel free to comment below on this video. And let's see. Check me out on my Facebook under my artist name Mel-El, that's Meleo. Check out my other videos. I also have an Instagram, but I'm not telling you exactly what my Instagram is. You just have to be ninja and figure it out on your own. Leave a comment below on this video. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Thumbs up if you did. Okay. And let's see. Share my video with people who are ninja, but not with people who ought to be ninja, because they might accidentally learn something. So until next time, my friends, stay ninja. And of course, I will try to do Ninja Bible study every Sunday. Okay? So subscribe to be alerted when I do that. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, we were going to cover the comma, right? But I didn't show you the comma. So my next video will probably be how to use comma while stepping. Okay, so which will be at some random time. Okay, so anyways, until next Ninja Bible study, stay ninja, my friends. Stay ninja.